Okay, Frank, wait a minute. It's called Aspire. It's talking about aspirations, but what's the difference between aspirations and goals and setting goals? Because God, Frank, there's so many books on goals, and
Yeah.
I heard talk about SMART rules, SMART. But this is the first time I've seen a book on aspirations. So, how did you think about this book? How did you figure it out?
Okay. So very quickly and very shortly, having written 6 other genres, I'd never written a mindset book. I've done real estate, I've done philosophy, young reader fantasy, Christian romance, spirituality, but I never did mindset. I realized that motivation washes off and goes down the drain with the soap at night. It does not last. As a species, human beings, we were not meant to stay motivated. That's the reason there's a multi-billion-dollar motivational business out there.
Yes.
So if you can't stay motivated, quit beating yourself up, because as a species, you weren't meant or wired to stay motivated. Second, inspiration. So inspiration lasts about as long as a bad sunburn. In other words, you watch an inspirational movie or read an inspirational book, it'll last about 2 weeks and then it wears off. What I have found has literally altered my DNA as I do a postmortem of my career, not my life because I'm still alive, is aspiration. These are otherworldly endeavors that are so sacred. They're like Fabergé boxes or Fabergé eggs that you set aside that are so important to you. I'm not motivated every day to build these houses, but you better believe I won't lose the aspiration to be the world's best real estate artist at the highest level. So what I found is being born the way I was born and having the problems with my learning, and the GPA was 1.8 and all these high schools and juvenile detention, I had to create a reality for myself and in turn alter my DNA. And as I look back, I killed the person I was born to become the person I wanted to be. I literally killed the person I was born to be, which was a banker, to become the real estate artist that I am today. And that's what the book teaches you.
But where'd you get that line from? To give that story, where'd you hear that before?
That line, I wanted to use it as a subtitle to my book, but it was already taken. So How to Create Your Own Reality and Alter Your DNA, that's my line. I was watching the movie Rocket Man, which was a story of Reginald Dwight, which was the name of Elton John, before he changed his name. And his manager took him by the shoulders and shook him and said, Reginald Dwight, you have to kill the person you were born to be to become the person you want to be. Oh my God, did that resonate to me? Because that's what I had done. I am nothing like I was when I left Indiana, because by choice, and there's actually science to back this up. I'm not going to get into the science of what's called epigenetics, which is the actual physical alteration of your DNA, but it is possible. I'm living proof, and I've got a ton of people in this book that I wrote about that are also living proof.
Okay, because I did kind of want to talk about the epigenetics conversation a little bit. The notes I had were, how the definition of epigenetics is how environmental factors can influence the expressions of our genes. And my question to you is going to be, well, what do you recommend? And we're going to get more into it because there's an execution plan as well as to how to make these changes. But what did you do to make those changes for as far as to alter your DNA, to change your genes?
Okay, so the first question, actually 25 chapters in Aspire, there's one chapter that's posed in the form of a question. It's chapter number 2, and it asks, what legacy do you aspire to leave behind? That's where you start. Of course, you're going to read chapter 1. It's going to talk about the difference between motivation, inspiration, and aspiration. It's going to give you a plan to identify people you aspire to emulate. In other words, people you look up to that you want to sample a little piece of their DNA, not copy them, but sample a little piece of the DNA and absorb it into your person. Once you're done with that chapter 1, chapter 2 asks the most important question, I think, in life: what legacy do you aspire to leave behind? And Charles, subconsciously, I asked that question to myself 30 years ago. And some of the aspirations that I talk about in the book that I set out, they took me 25 years to make come true. But they did come true because I asked myself that question. Francis, when I was a kid, I was known as Mickey. Mick, what legacy do you aspire to leave behind? And it's a very in-depth question that whole chapter focuses on helping you answer. Once you've done that, Charles, you've started the very first bit of human genome processing, where you've altered that first synapse the way you want to, that first piece of chromosome.